Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Sherrill Sellman, and welcome to Living a Totally Healthy Life on Total Health TV. Thank you for joining us today. We have another fantastic episode ready to go. I wanted to just invite you, if you have not yet gone to our Facebook page, please like us there. Also, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe there. And also, we have totalhealthtelevision.com, so you can visit us on our website. And today we have a fantastic conversation. We're going to be exploring the wonder of water. Water's all around us. We can't live without it. But how many of us have actually given any thought to what water is and really the immense power that exists within each drop of water? Well, we're going to explore this fascinating topic with my guest today, who is Gina Bria. Gina is the executive director and founder of the Hydration Foundation. She's also an anthropologist and an author. And it's my great pleasure to welcome Gina to the show. Gina, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, I can't wait to share how to get rid of trying to guzzle 8 glasses of water a day. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, we have lots to talk about because this is such a profound topic, and you have done so much research and have put together a wonderful summit, which I participated in as a observer, and enjoyed so much the information and the great guests you had. So I want us to have this conversation today so everyone who is watching this show will have a totally different understanding and a much profound and greater appreciation for water. So where would you like us to begin on this journey of the wonder of water?
Well, I'm so happy that you've invited me to talk about this because my job is to spread the wonder of water and get it out there in ways that people have never thought of before, of how hydration can come from really unexpected sources. It isn't just from your tap, and it isn't just from your water bottle, because that's the vision we've been given and that's our understanding. But what water is and how it works and where we find it in very unexpected places is the conversation I want us to have today, because it's going to liberate a lot of people into new vitality and new ways to actually get a hold of what water is. So what water is, well, let's start there, because the first and most urgent thing I want to share about what water is that it's our fuel. It isn't just there to moisten us. It isn't a background for the rest of our molecules to take place on. It is the driving biological force for dismantling all molecules in our body, dissolving them and let them become bioavailable. And then it is the driving force in terms of fuel, because how water works is, and what the purpose of water is and what water's doing is so simple, but we missed it. It's there to conduct electricity. We all know water conducts electricity. We just don't think of it inside of our own body. So water is there to conduct all electrical properties in our body. It's not only the chemical dissembling of molecules, it's also then taking the energy that's released from those molecules and shipping it all over our bodies. And this happens at the most profound level. So it happens just on the molecular level, but then it happens on the wave energy level. So we have new ways to talk about water. This is really amazing, because it's going to mean something as simple in your life as getting your water from a piece of lettuce, which is 98% water and already filled with the power of the sun through photosynthesis. So that water is far more effective at delivering electricity. It has more voltage than water from your tap or water from a bottle. Imagine that. So let's start that conversation.
Okay, so we have heard the story that we need to be drinking 8 glasses of water a day. And let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about the difference between taking in however many glasses a day a person is able to do and the ability to be hydrated. Because if I understand this properly, Gina, the amount of water you drink does not equate to proper hydration on a cellular level.
Right.
So, what do we need to know about being properly hydrated? And the other thing you said that I think bears repeating is that water is necessary to generate electricity and voltage in every single cell. That is what causes
Wow.
cells to be effective, right? So if we have low voltage, because
Right.
I've been studying this with a
Yeah.
lot of frequency medicine that I've
Yeah.
been doing, the lower the voltage of the cell, the more prone that cell will be to dysfunction and disease. So this is so critical that you want high
Mhm.
voltage available to every single cell.
And we get it through water. We get it through hydration. So let me just do a little contrast between getting all that water into you through your tap or your water bottles. Because the unfortunate principle there is that the water coming from taps or in water bottles, those sources of water have both lost their voltage. It's either diminished over time by sitting in the back of a truck, being delivered to grocery shelves, sitting on a grocery shelf, being shoved around. All of these non-life form exposures, industrial exposures, or it's been treated through chemical processing plants. Both those technically break up the water molecule. So the water molecules, as they come together, they share. They start when they get close. When the water molecules get close enough, when the angle of the bond changes and it gets close enough, what happens is that the molecule starts sharing an electron. It starts leaping from one to the next cell, and that is a form of energy, and that's how water really conducts electricity. When you put it through chemical washing, or you shove it through pressurized pipes, or you let it sit on a shelf all that time, what happens is those molecules drift apart, or they're broken apart, and they don't have the same energy producing molecule sharing, electron sharing that makes the water turn into a battery. So nature has designed water to conduct electricity, and we've interfered with that property. And that's why drinking 8 glasses of low voltage water means that the water that your body's already figured out how to get voltage into inside of you, the water you're already carrying, which your body had to go through a lot of work to get its voltage up, and now has to go work on the water you just poured in there, and it diminishes its voltage. So you're literally, when you drink that much of low voltage water, you're actually diluting the energy, the water inside of you. You're diminishing its voltage power. And we know that you can overhydrate easily, when what we mean by that is that what you're going for when you're hydrating is the voltage, along with the moistening. Nature's smart. It's got many pathways it's working at once. So the voltage involves crossing the water, helping the water cross into the cell membrane, across the cell membrane. And it also involves how those cells communicate to each other. So there's 2 events going on in hydration. One is getting the water intracellularly, so out of the guzzle system, and you're through osmosis bringing it in, but then it has to go through another stage to get inside your cells. And then that property is really important, getting water inside your cell so that it can run all your proteins, whether they open or fold, and whether that cell is doing all the work that it can do. But it also involves the connection between cells, so that the electrical function between cells is communicating information. And when it can do that well with high electricity and low static, that means your cells are communicating efficiently, and now you have a coherent system doing what it's supposed to do when it's supposed to do it. how it's supposed to do it. So we're missing a lot of cell-to-cell signaling when we're dehydrated. We're missing a lot of moistening. We're literally just drier. And we're missing getting water inside the cell to do the DNA work of instruction and protein folding. That's a lot of work that water's doing. So now you know why I'm sitting here with this urgent message about why hydration is the first thing we should be thinking about in terms of our health and our inner ecology.
Yeah, it's a really big story, and it just reminds me that I have learned a fact, and that fact is that there are 100,000 biochemical reactions that go on every second in a cell, which is really hard to get your head around, right?
Yeah.
100,000 biochemical reactions per second in a cell, and they all require proper hydration to do that. So
All run
that's
on
such a big
water.
story.
Right.
So it's
another,
really
well,
Gina, I just want to say it's really disturbing, Gina, when you say that, because if processed water, everything in our reservoirs, that all the chemicals are put in, then it's running through these pipes, whatever's leaching into the water from those pipes, and water in bottles, which we know there's bisphenol A and chemicals that go into water that's sitting in bottles that sit in the sunshine and they leach.
yeah.
Well, that's where everyone gets their water from. What do we do?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, because now I get to share some the great bright side of this story, which is water from your food, which is the packaged nature organized, is incredibly potent and powerful. So bringing more food, more fresh fruits and vegetables into your life is going to enhance your hydration immeasurably. So let me give you a quick visual. One apple is probably worth about 2 glasses of water in terms of bringing in electrical function. So you're not going for hydrating just on the volume principle, which is how most people think of, the more I drink, the more I'll be hydrated. You're actually going for it on the electrical properties. So an apple is, I don't know, it's above 90% hydration. It's mostly water in there. That's how nature works. Most of our plants are 80 to 90% water. Some of the leafy greens are 96, 98. I mean, eating a salad is more powerful for you in terms of hydration than guzzling bottles of water. So helping you to understand food as our new water bottles, like of a pear, that's a melon. These are nature's water bottles. They're perfectly packaged to travel and bring in nutrition and deliver it with a hydrating element of water all at once. It's a beautiful packaged system. All those horses out there eating grass, they're not just eating, they're hydrating. So bringing food and hydration back together, plants and hydration, is a very important aspect of what we share. And then also through our work at the Hydration Foundation. So, lots of recipes on our website, lots of more discussion about where water comes from, but also something, Dr. Sherrill, like getting out in the sunlight. So now the sunlight is directly infusing the water cells within you with its level of energy, with an electrical function. Or grounding, walking on the earth and pulling up the negative charge from the earth. We're designed to do that. So now I'm speaking as an anthropologist and talking about water in our biological context, and how indigenous cultures, or people who live close to the earth, receive hydration in the biological format, the natural format. So I just want to alert your listeners to the fact that the life that we lead as moderns and in our culture, is one of the most abnormal cultures that have ever existed in terms of biology. We live indoors, away from the sun. We eat processed food that has lost its electrical charge and its nutritional efforts. We take high medications, which are very damaging to our hydration. We live with electronic devices, which also are deeply dehydrating, create all sorts of electrical interference in our systems. And we commute in cars and planes. That's where we spend so much of our time. And those are also electrical interference environments. So the good news here is we can adapt so quickly once we find our own little routines. Maybe hydrating through smoothies is a brilliant strategy where you put a lot of greens, package it all in there, throw in some, water. And for the water part, the simple solution for getting water back in a voltage state is simply adding a little sea salt, a pinch of salt to your water that you are using from the tap or a bottle. From your Brita, whatever your particular setup is, if you can add some salt, you're bringing those molecules start to reorganize around the salt, and they start sharing electrons again. So that's a very helpful bit of information. That's a lot to absorb.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's great. So I would imagine when we're talking about how our fresh fruits and vegetables are a delivery system for internal intracellular hydration, it's important to also understand that it needs to be organic. And this is another reason why organic is so important as opposed to, commercially grown produce.
Right.
Do you just want to address that for a little bit?
Yes. So the interference comes not only from the chemicals you're receiving through the pesticides, which then affect the water inside of you, but also those chemicals interfere with the electrical properties of the food you're eating. So we're not used to thinking of ourselves as we're out there trying to get electricity into us. That's the life force, and we have to look at where the hits are coming. So if you want to do something, like, for example, let's say you can't eat all organic, but you could probably grow a jar of sprouts in your sink. Sink gardening is awesome. Just a couple of tablespoons of those sprouts are going to create the kind of assistance that you need for whatever else you're eating. So what I try to help people look at is how can they compensate for whatever detriments their society has created for them. Whether it's, yes, try to eat all organically, but if you can't, go get a few of these strategies in your life so you're helping yourself. Get outside and get yourself at least 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight, so that you're helping whatever you've compromised foods you may have eaten can be percentage-wise recovered in some way. These are really important. If we have to think in terms of not all or nothing, but how do we compensate for whatever has happened to us during our day? We're a flow system, and we want to move through our day with this sense of, am I low or am I high? What do I need? If I've had pizza, I should have a salad. It's not an either or. It's, if I'm having a glass of wine, the next glass is going to be a glass of water with a pinch of salt in it or a squeeze of lemon. Something as simple as that, just like becoming aware of yourself as a living, walking water being that needs to adjust and move all the time through the need for more energy coming into us.
That's great. So just a little squeeze of lemon can do the trick as well?
Yes. So let me share a second principle about, so water contained in plants, a lemon squeeze. That juice of the lemon is already full of electricity. It's sharing those electrons now with the water. So this is based on the work of Dr. Gerald Pollack at the University of Washington. We also have lots of in but don't talk about of strategies and recognize that food categories like having tea instead of just a straight up glass of water. Here's the like the most baseline thing I can get to you is never again do I want you to drink a nude glass of water, a naked glass of water. Do something to it to bring the charge back up. Either squeeze a lemon in or a lime in it, or add a pinch of salt, or squeeze some liquid minerals in it, or add tea to it. These these are principles within the plant that then ignite the glass of water in a new way. So if there's nothing else I can get to you, it's that idea.
That's a great idea. That's so simple to do. And we can add it to every glass of water. If we have a water bottle, make sure we put our lemon juice in it, fresh lemon or lime juice. I start my day every day with a big glass of warm water, lemon juice. I add some minerals to it and, whatever else I want to put into that glass, but always warm water, lemon juice, and minerals. So
well, you
I'm
are
glad I'm doing
joining, and you're joining in that, Dr. Sherrill, an incredible lineage of longevity traditions who also tempered their first morning beverage with materials that would enhance the hydration. So now I can talk about going to Peru and seeing people use cocoa and maybe some kind of a goat butter uh, to cope with a day that was going to be in all these high altitudes, very low dew point hydration. So these strategies go way back. Right, one of the big popular things right now is bulletproof coffee, or coffee with butter. These are actually ancient traditions that are found all over the world. That are fabulous for coping. Natural longevity traditions, tea in the morning all through Asia. These are what we need to bring back into the conversation about why we think hydration is a clear glass of bottled water or from the tap. It's not, and never has
Yeah.
been.
Yeah. Um, can you say a little bit about how our EMF world is
Yes.
actually a primary cause of hydration within our bodies?
Yes. So we've talked about the molecules sharing electrons back and forth. They do that through wave action. So water is really run more on principles of physics than it is on chemistry. Chemistry is like the lowest level way to look at water. H2O, like that's it. That is not an explanation, because when you start joining H2O molecules together, they become H3O2. They start sharing those materials. They become far more complex together than as a single element. And what they're doing in that work is sharing wave function. So you're seeing waves come in and move through, and what the combination of molecules together is doing is harmonizing waves coming in. So now we have the way to talk about what frequencies have to do with water, and they have everything to do with water. Really, life is a wave action. We are ourselves not chemical solely. In fact, the chemistry is the least interesting part about us. The live part of us is how those chemicals are caught up and danced in wave function. Literally, it's what the wave function is that keeps us living to be alive creatures. In the end, when those waves disappear, we're a pile of chemicals. And even that gets dismembered by wave action in the end. So our aspects of being alive have to do with incoming frequencies and how they are absorbed and harmonized within us to make our shape, to make our form, to make our function. And this is the big news in water research, is understanding that we are literally compiled of waves, and water is the medium that nature has designed to harmonize those incoming waves and help us adjust to whatever it is that's incoming. And I think the illustration I could give that would help your audience hear this in the most simple way is to think about when you throw a pebble into a pond and you immediately watch the wave function go out, regulate, and harmonate. I mean, you can't see a more perfect picture of water's ability to deal with incoming turbulence and organize it and shape it and just send it out so that it becomes coherent. So the more hydrated we are, the more we have those organizing water molecules within us, the more we're able to deal with the disharmonizing frequencies that are coming into us, whether it's the sound of a siren coming down the street, or it's our phones, which are using frequencies that are harmful. You know, my dream, I would really love to see this item become a frequency item that can help us support our system instead of disassemble it. And I think that's in our future. I don't think we're even that far away from, all right, recognizing, wait a minute, all we have to do is switch the frequencies that this gives off. And one of the places you can do that now is to look at how frequencies are being used in health and energy medicine today. And I'd love to talk more about that. I know you're really interested in that too, so I bet you have some questions about that.
I do. Let's talk about that. And then I want us to move to the sacredness of water. So we'll talk about frequencies, which I do love that subject because that's the future. That's Einstein said, future of medicine is frequencies. And if we start understanding water and the communication system and how water is a carrier of frequencies, it's really important to help us understand how we're supporting our health. So we can talk about that, but we definitely need time on our conversation today to talk about the sacredness of water as well.
Well, let's complete the conversation around frequencies, and then we get to move on to the juicy stuff.
Good.
So I was recently at an international conference of water scientists, and I had the great privilege next to Viktor Voykov, who's Russian Academy of Sciences. He's one of their most brilliant physicists. And, you know, I trained as an anthropologist, so my science background was had a lot of gaps in it. And I'm sitting next to him. We're listening to an amazing presentation on how molecules are dismembered by wave function. And the presenter said the word particles, particles versus waves. And I was like, wait, Victor, what's a particle? What's a particle? I don't remember. And Victor turned to me and he said, oh, particles, nothing more than super concentrated waves. That's all. And I thought, oh my God, you just blew my mind. So we are waves. Even our particles are super concentrated waves. And that is mind-blowing. It helps us shift into the new paradigm we need to hold about ourselves. Because we think of material reality, and then we think it's visible, and then we think of immaterial reality like waves, which are invisible. But actually, we're just visibly concentrated waves. And that's what our skin is. That's what our hair is. This is us. We're super concentrated waves. So if that's the case, then thinking about ourselves as wave beings and how we can bring positive waves into our life. So now we can shift to a conversation about something like sun waves coming in, or we can talk about sound frequencies and the role of sound in our ability to heal ourselves and why that would work. So we have this new science which helps us identify that sound really does affect our cells. John Stewart Reed is one of my favorite colleagues, and he's just completed a study showing what frequencies revitalize dying blood cells. And he's got a video of it. We get to watch it now. And so these frequencies that he's identified, I love to match up because this is my anthropologist coming out in me, but he identified pulsing low frequency regular beats as the wave functions that assist our cells to do the work that they need to do. It's like this pulsing, living effect. So now you get to talk about drumming and clapping and stomping and dancing, or even walking, which is a regular incoming pulse, right? It's a low beat, low resonance. It's shaking up vibrating your entire skeletal structure when you walk. And of course, it's assisting your cells, not because it's improving your muscles. That's like the low level version of it, the lowest common denominator, but because it's sending healing resonances which are helping get the static out and balance the cohesive sound and function of waves in your system. Wow. But you got to be well hydrated for that to conduct, right?
Because as we understand that we are energy beings, that we are waves rather than particles. I know that Joe Dispenza talks a lot about that, a particle being the physical material world and the wave being the energetic world that we are and live in. The more we understand ourselves as energy beings with a response to everything is a frequency, everything is conveying information to us, and that proper hydration is so essential because not only is it generating an electrical current, a voltage that is really generating the functions of cells, but it's also, and correct me if I'm wrong, a carrier of information to this energy system that we are.
So that's the perfect volley. That's the perfect comment to send back to me to set us up to talk about water as an information conductor, and then ultimately water as an archive of wisdom and memory and information. So again, I'm going to go back to this conference I was at. I've been through many of these conferences now. They're very exciting. And one of the things I just want to note is these scientists who come to this are the most humble, genuine, sweetie guys, sweetie women who come in and they're like a bunch of puppies together. And yet they're holding some of the most extraordinary new transformative science that we have. So the last conference I was at in Germany was all these scientists. There's about 200 around the world that are intensely studying just water, just the wave action in water, the biology of water, how it actually runs all our functions. And this particular conference, there were a lot of computer guys there, like people from AI and IT, and they were trying to buttonhole all these scientists because they have slowly come to the realization that water, the water molecules, especially when you put them together, can hold more information than silicon. So wow. Vastly more. So now the new prize in computing is finding and making a quantum computer. And that simply means a computer that can process so much information parallel that it literally is going to crack open whole new domains that we didn't literally have the instrumentation to see before. So they're trying to figure out how, they're literally like, Dr. Pollack, how can we make a water computer? How can we make a water computer? How can we make a computer out of water molecules? And we're all standing around going, but wait, that means we are already water computers. We are walking quantum computers based on water's capacity to store the vast amounts of information that come in that we have to process, then organize it and figure out how to send it out as signaling in our system. So when you think about water this way as a storage system, almost a digital system, the water molecules are storing all things that we've been exposed to. And they're figuring out, and this just makes sense when you think about how biology works. You have to have that information to know what you've experienced, to know how to keep yourself safe in the future. So water doesn't forget anything. It archives everything and it holds it in there. And it's like, okay, we've seen the situation before. Now, what are we going how do we respond last? Somebody go get back office, go get that information, deliver it to me as intuition right away. I gotta know. Water is a superconductor. So if we only talk about this on the electrical signaling part of the story now that we understand, all of that is real, but we can use words now like memory storage. Like, how much storage do you have on your computer? This is a problem we think about all the time. Well, all we did was just intuitively outsource that as a computer, but it was already an idea. It was already a process living inside of us. So water and the sacred flow is carrying all of that for us. And if we allow ourselves to enter into the world of being water beings first and foremost, and enter into the world of loving how we're going to hydrate ourselves throughout the day, just always course correcting, getting water and hydration into us, whether through exposure to sunlight or going outside for a walk or receiving all the information that comes in from a walk in the forest that then ignites whole new systems within us. We call that, forest bathing, and it's good for your mood, but there's a lot of things going on that makes that happen. Really, really beautiful. So water is our access to the past, our own past, and the past of the earth and the ecology and the plants. And it's also the access to our future, right? So how we use wisdom, the things we are cognizant of, the allowing information to flow into us. And a lot of that information is for our benefit. So, yeah, that's one way to think about it.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about with water in a whole new way. It's a whole different shift. It's a paradigm shift, really, and a much greater appreciation and awareness of water as this incredible substance that has arrived here on this planet to heal and to teach and to transform and to communicate. And maybe we can just complete the conversation, Gina, with sharing just a little bit about the sacredness of water. As you're talking, I'm thinking of Dr. Emoto, who would show that by saying different words to water, writing different words, putting it against the jar of water, it would actually change the energy, the frequency of water, lift it or lower it, depending on what was transmitted into that water container. So can we, you have brought so much profound information together for us. Let's complete this conversation with a bit of understanding how sacred water is.
Well, I'm going to shape that on your understanding first to help you know that by molecular count, so if you count up all the molecules inside of you, 99% of them will be water. Now, only 1% will be the other materials that make us up. That is a shocking statistic and really ultimately a very delightful one. It's extraordinary to realize we are literally walking aquariums. We are made of water. It isn't all in liquid form. It's often more in jelly-like form, and that's the surprise. That makes it make more sense to us. We don't feel we're a bag of water, but we do feel we're a bag of jelly. So helping on that, 99% of you is water. We have clinical studies showing that even a 2% reduction in the water, the hydration inside of us, leads to measurable cognitive loss. So if you know that even a little bit of water loss is going to affect it's going to make you cranky. It's going to make you sleep poorly. It's going to hold weight onto you because your body's desperate to hold on to whatever it's got in there, because you haven't helped it become a flow system where everything's flowing in and flowing out, including thoughts. So the physical aspect of being full of water, now coupled with the fact that water is a signaling mechanism. And that means we are walking water towers that broadcast information all the time. we're constantly signaling to our outer world and our inner world. So when we have thoughts of pleasure, when we seek pleasure in our lives to enhance our thoughts, we are broadcasting that as we go out into the day. That's amazing, because it means now we have agency in healing our world around us just by being well hydrated and broadcasting around us coherent messages of beauty, peace, love, care, compassion, concern. You become a kinder being when you are well hydrated, and your longevity goes, because we need you.
Wow.
We need you now. We need you well hydrated.
That's so beautiful. I love the image of a walking aquarium. It's like, projecting the frequencies of health and vitality,
Yes.
which when you do have those frequencies of health and vitality, you can't help but project love, compassion, gratitude, peace out into the world. So,
and if you don't think that's affecting the people around you, you'd be surprised at how powerful it is. So just get well hydrated and love, let those frequencies flow through you. We have so much power in this world. And now, as an anthropologist, the cultures that I've looked at, they work in collaborative ways, and they share those signals, they increase those signaling and send it out into the world. And they receive a lot of support from nature. So nature's very hydrating. Taking those walks and getting out in your garden, in the forest, on the ocean, bring houseplants into your life. They are literally vibrating at you, and they have things to say that will, support you. And you can receive all that without going through your brain, without going through your rational aspect. You just receive a bigger free input of the life force that's around us. So really, water is the medium for the life force. And that's what all traditions say, except ours. So let's fix that.
Right. And, as you're talking, what it's conveying to me is you are giving us an understanding and an appreciation of water in our modern 21st century world, which has been the tradition passed down for thousands of years, in this deep and profound spiritual understanding. And this is what you're helping us to reclaim, Gina, in our world today. So we have a different understanding, a different awareness, a different appreciation of water and its role in not only creating our health, but in expanding our consciousness. And I'm very grateful to you for doing that, Gina. You do it beautifully.
Thank you. Well, I'm doing it with colleagues, so I'd love to invite everyone to our summit. We have a free, all online, first ever hydration summit with over 30 really smart and interesting people sharing new ways to hydrate besides guzzling all that water. And if you go to the hydration, it's hydrationfoundation.org. It's the first thing that'll pop up. You register for it. It's all yours. And it also gives us an opportunity as participants and learners in that summit to think about ways to help our land recover its hydration. So we have a program in there to give irrigation techniques to farmers directly, irrigation little spin funnels that help the water get back close together again, because we are also hydrating our soils with non-voltage water or low voltage water. So we have so many ways to fix things right now through water. Let's go do it.
Well, you're doing beautiful work, and thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and experience. And I hope everyone goes and visits the hydrationfoundation.org. And I've watched and participated, as an observer in your summit of so many inspirational speakers. So I'm so glad it's available for people to listen to and dip into. Take a swim into the summit.
Right.
So
take a swim, take it in bite sizes, but every one of those interviews is going to offer you a new way to hydrate, which is really, really wonderful. And then you get to share it with your families, how we go about doing just Sherrill, as wisdom, as women and healers, all through other cultures, it's women who are the water bearers, water carriers. We are the water careforers. We are the ones who are in charge of water, and bringing it to our loved ones in our circles. So we're just stepping into our place as women in the circle of bringing life through water, which has been denied us in the new cultural modern world that we live in. We're so isolated, and we haven't gotten to fulfill ourselves as participants in nature, as the ones that got biologically selected to offer water care. So we get to do that now. We get to do it. It's incredible. It's wonderful
beautiful.
to have purpose. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the wonderful work you're doing and your inspirational message. And I just appreciate your being with us today. Thank you so much.
So glad to share. Thank you.
So thank you all for listening to this episode of Total Health TV, my program, Living a Totally Healthy Life. We've had the wonder of water with Gina Bria, who is the executive director and founder of the Hydration Foundation. Wow, so mind expanding. And that's what this series and this program and this network is all about, is supporting you and getting empowered with the knowledge that will allow you to live a life with much greater awareness, much greater health, much greater connection to all that is. So until next time, remember, we're on Facebook. Like us there. Go to our YouTube channel or subscribe to our website, which is totalhealthtelevision.com. Until next time, have a great day. Bye for now.